Welcome back to The Deep Dive, a low-effort podcast. Today we're going to be reviewing Terry Gilliam's Brazil, starring Jonathan Pryce, Kim Greist, and Robert De Niro.
All right, buckle up everyone, because today we are diving headfirst into Terry Gilliam's Brazil.
Oh, Brazil.
You know that film that's like a fever dream crossed with a really, really messed up bureaucracy?
Right.
And it's hilarious and terrifying all at the same time.
Definitely. It's one of those movies that gets under your skin and just stays with you.
Exactly, and we're going to dissect why that is, but with a twist.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What's the angle?
So we're looking at how one tiny error, like a little typo, can spiral out of control in a system that's obsessed with order and paperwork.
So like the butterfly effect, but with red tape and rubber stamps.
You got it. It's all about how those seemingly insignificant glitches can expose the absurdity and sometimes the downright danger of these big, impersonal systems.
Yeah, that's what makes Brazil so brilliant. It takes something we can all relate to, bureaucracy, and pushes it to this darkly comic extreme that makes you question everything.
Totally. So to set the stage, we're dropped into this dystopian future, right? And in the opening scene, a fly, an actual fly, lands on a printer and causes a malfunction.
I always loved that detail. It's like this perfect metaphor for how chaos can erupt from the smallest, most unexpected places.
Exactly. And because of that fly, an arrest warrant gets printed with the wrong name. Tuttle becomes Buttle, and that's where the dominoes start to fall.
And it's fascinating how Gilliam uses those names, Tuttle and Buttle, to represent these opposing forces in the film.
Oh, totally. You have Archibald Tuttle, the rogue heating engineer, who is this symbol of individuality and freedom. He can fix anything, work outside the system.
And then you have poor Archibald Buttle, who becomes, well, a victim of the system. He's arrested, disappears into the bureaucratic machine, and we never even actually meet the guy.
It's heartbreaking, especially when you see the impact on his family, like his widow. They're just collateral damage in this whole bureaucratic nightmare.
And it shows how dehumanizing these systems can be, how they prioritize process over people. It's all about forms and protocols, not actual justice.
And that's where our main character, Sam Lowry, this kind of average government worker, gets sucked into the chaos. He's supposed to deliver a compensation check to Buttle's widow, and suddenly he's caught in this web of conspiracies and cover-ups.
And through Sam, we start to see the cracks in this seemingly perfect society. He's a cog in the machine, but the Tuttle-Buttle case starts to wake him up to the absurdity of it all.
Yeah, he's going through the motions, but deep down he's yearning for something more, something real.
Exactly. And that's where Jill Layton comes in.
Jill, the woman who turns Sam's world upside down.
She's the spark of resistance in this oppressive world. She sees the injustice of Buttle's arrest and refuses to be silent.
And of course, she's got this magnetic pull on Sam. There's a romantic connection there that adds another layer to his journey.
Definitely. Jill represents everything Sam is missing in his life. Passion, courage, and a willingness to fight for what's right.
And that's where things get really wild, right? Like, we're talking about this one little typo, but as Sam digs deeper, the movie starts to unpack all these bigger, almost philosophical questions about, like, bureaucracy, reality, the whole shebang.
Well, absolutely. Brazil doesn't pull any punches when it comes to critiquing, well, pretty much everything. But especially how power operates within these massive, impersonal systems.
Like, 1 minute, Sam is just trying to deliver this check, and the next he's caught in this labyrinth of paperwork and protocols that just seems to go on forever. It's like every door he opens leads to another 10 doors he has to fill out a form to even look at.
And that's the genius of it.
Yeah.
Because we've all been there, right? Stuck on hold, transferred from one department to another, drowning in a sea of red tape.
Yeah.
But Gilliam takes that frustration and amplifies it. Shows us what happens when those systems become so convoluted that they lose sight of the human beings they're supposed to serve.
Totally. And you see that most clearly in how the government handles Buttle's disappearance. It's just a matter of ticking boxes, filing the right forms. Nobody wants to acknowledge that a mistake was made, a man is missing, because that would mean disrupting the order of things.
Exactly. And that brings us to another key theme that runs throughout Brazil. The idea of reality versus illusion. As Sam goes deeper into this conspiracy, the film itself starts to reflect his increasingly fragmented mental state. We get these dream sequences, these bizarre, surreal interludes that are both visually arresting and deeply unsettling.
Oh my gosh, those visuals are insane. It's like if M.C. Escher designed a dystopian society. You've got these impossible structures, these weird, clunky gadgets, and Sam flying around in this winged suit battling giant samurai warriors.
And those dream sequences aren't just there for spectacle, though they are visually stunning. They serve a really important purpose thematically. On one hand, they represent Sam's desire to escape, to break free from the constraints of this oppressive reality.
Yeah, like who wouldn't want to fly away from their problems in a winged suit?
Exactly. But on another level, they also blur the lines between what's real and what's not, which forces us as viewers to question what we're seeing and experiencing. Just like Sam, we're never quite sure what's real and what's a figment of his imagination.
And that's what makes Brazil so effective, I think. It reflects our anxieties about technology, about how it can be used to control and manipulate us. I mean, think about it today. We've got social media, filters, deep fakes. It's easier than ever to create these curated versions of ourselves, these perfect little illusions that hide the messiness of real life.
Absolutely. And that fear of losing ourselves in a world of manufactured realities, of becoming disconnected from what's actually true, that's a theme that Brazil taps into so brilliantly. And it's even more relevant now in our hyper-connected, information-saturated world than it was back in 1985.
It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it, right? I mean, Brazil came out in the 80s?
1985, to be exact.
1985. And yet it feels like Gilliam had this crystal ball, because he nailed these anxieties we have now about technology and data and the whole nine yards.
It's true. It's like he could see the writing on the wall, even back then, like that whole Tuttle-Biddle mix-up. Today, it wouldn't be a fly causing a typo. It would be an algorithm screwing up some random glitch in the system with huge consequences.
Ugh, don't even get me started on algorithms. It's like 1 minute you're liking cat videos, the next you're being denied a loan because Facebook thinks you're a credit risk.
Well, and that's what makes Brazil so unsettling, right?
Yeah.
Because it shows how easily those systems, the ones that are supposed to make our lives easier, can be used to control us, to limit our choices, without us even realizing it's happening.
It's like that saying, you're either at the table or on the menu. And in Brazil, most people are definitely on the menu, except for maybe Harry Tuttle. He's like the one guy who knows how to fight back, how to bend the rules without getting crushed by the system.
He's a fascinating character, Harry. He represents that glimmer of hope, that possibility of individual resistance. But he also highlights the cost of that resistance.
Yeah.
The sacrifices you have to make to stay true to yourself in a world that wants to fit you into a neat little box.
Yeah, no kidding. But let's talk about the visuals for a second, because, wow, Brazil is one of those movies that just stays with you visually. It's like a nightmare and a fever dream all rolled into one.
Absolutely. That blend of grimy realism and those towering, oppressive structures, it's unforgettable. And it's had a huge influence on other films, too. You see echoes of Brazil in everything from Dark City to Tim Burton's Batman.
Right. Like that whole retro-futuristic aesthetic, all those clunky gadgets and those endless ducts and wires. It's like the physical manifestation of bureaucracy itself.
And you can't forget about the controversy surrounding the film's ending. The Battle of Brazil, as it's come to be known. Gilliam had to fight tooth and nail with the studio to get his darker, more subversive cut released.
Seriously, they wanted to slap a happy ending on Brazil. Come on. This movie is a punch in the gut, not a warm hug.
I know. But thankfully, Gilliam won that battle, because that ending, as bleak as it might seem, is what gives the film its power. It stays with you, forces you to think about the choices we make in the face of overwhelming power.
Exactly. And that's why, even after all these years, Brazil still feels so relevant, so urgent. It's a reminder that we can't just sit back and let the systems control us, whether it's the government, technology, whatever. We have to be willing to question, to push back, to fight for our own individuality, even if it means embracing a little chaos along the way. So yeah, if you haven't seen Brazil, do yourself a favor and check it out. And if it's been a while, maybe it's time for a rewatch. Just be prepared to have your mind blown, maybe even a little terrified, but ultimately, I hope, inspired to hold on to your own humanity, no matter how crazy the world gets.
Thanks for diving deep with us.